They mocked her scars, whispering cruel jokes as she served their table, assuming she was weak, damaged. But when an elderly veteran spotted the military unit tattoo on her wrist, everything changed. His booming voice silenced the diner. Because she wasn't just a waitress, she was a decorated war hero. What happens next? Let's start the story. The soft jingle of the diner door echoed as the morning rush poured in. Coffee cups clinked, conversations hummed, and orders scribbled onto notepads filled the air with routine. For most, it was just another day. For Maya Johnson, the newest waitress at Millstone Diner, every step felt like a battle, one she was determined to win. Her brown skin gleamed under the neon lights, her uniform slightly baggy on her lean frame. But it wasn't her skin, her smile, or even her quiet demeanor that drew stares. It was the visible network of scars tracing from her neck down the side of her arm, partly hidden beneath her rolled-up sleeve. Customers whispered as she passed. Some stared, others quickly looked away, unsure whether curiosity or pity felt worse. But then there were the cruel ones, the kind who felt entitled to sneer. A group of regulars sat at booth 7, men in midlife denial, loud and brash, always hunting for someone to feel superior to. One nudged the other as Maya walked by with a coffee pot. "Damn, someone lost a fight with a blender," he muttered. His buddy snorted, or fell through a window. Should have stayed inside. Laughter followed, cruel and cutting. Maya heard every word but kept her back straight, her smile intact, the coffee steady in her hand. She had survived far worse than small-town ignorance. Placing a fresh plate of pancakes on table 9, she moved swiftly, focused on the task. But as fate would have it, table 6 was where everything shifted. Sitting there, stirring his black coffee with slow precision, was Walter Grady, a Vietnam veteran, Silver Star recipient, and a man whose eyes had seen more than most could fathom. His grizzled face wore every year like a badge. His gaze wasn't idle curiosity. It was sharp, observant, and when Maya reached over to refill his cup, his weathered eyes caught the small tattoo etched onto the inside of her wrist, barely visible but unmistakable to anyone who knew. It was a unit insignia, the 75th Ranger Regiment. His hand stilled, his eyes narrowed, not in suspicion but in recognition. "Rangers lead the way," he said quietly, his voice deep and commanding, yet filled with reverence. Maya froze. Slowly, she turned her eyes toward him, meeting his gaze fully for the first time. A pause hung between them like the hush before a storm. "All the way," Maya answered softly, instinctually, without hesitation, the sacred call and response of the Rangers. The laughter from booth 7 faltered, noticing the sudden shift in energy. Walter leaned forward, his wrinkled hands gripping the table edge. "Which battalion?" "2nd," Maya replied. "Afghanistan, 2014 to 2019. His breath caught. "I was 1st, 68. His hand extended. Not a handshake. This was different. A grasp of brothers, of warriors, of survivors. Maya placed her scarred hand into his, without flinching. His thumb brushed the line of rough skin tracing her knuckles. "IED?" he asked gently. She nodded. "3rd deployment. Lost 2 good friends. Got a piece of hell lodged in my arm. Doc said I was lucky to keep it." Her voice didn't waver, but it carried weight, a gravity that could only come from someone who knew suffering intimately but chose to rise anyway. The clatter of utensils faded. Conversation stilled. Even the loudmouths at booth 7 now stared, shifting uncomfortably. Walter wasn't done. His voice rose, not in anger but in absolute authority. "Did any of you," he gestured broadly to the diner, "ever have the guts to jump out of a C-130 into live fire?" Silence. "No." He turned his eyes like spotlights toward booth 7. "Did any of you ever patrol Kandahar, sleeping in dirt, watching your friends bleed beside you, patching wounds with your bare hands?" They said nothing. "Then how dare any of you disrespect this woman?" His fist hit the table, not hard, but enough that coffee cups rattled. "You sit here, sipping coffee, fat and comfortable, making jokes about scars you could never earn, scars that come with sacrifice, with courage most of you wouldn't muster in 10 lifetimes." One man at booth 7 mumbled, We didn't mean. Walter cut him off. No, you didn't think. That's the problem. You saw her scars and thought she was broken. What you didn't see was that she's the strongest person in this room. He turned back to Maya, his voice soft again. Thank you for your service, Ranger. Maya's lips trembled slightly, not from weakness, but from the unexpected validation, the kind that struck deeper than any wound. Thank you, sir, she replied, gripping his hand back. Slowly, others in the diner began to stand. An elderly woman wiped her eyes. A young couple near the window clapped first, softly, respectfully. Then others followed. The claps weren't loud, but they were profound, filled with acknowledgement. Booth 7 sat red-faced, shrinking into themselves, suddenly exposed for the cowards they were. Walter, ever the leader, stood up. This diner's lucky to have you, he said loudly to Maya. And if anyone here's got a problem with that, they've got a problem with me. The cook poked his head out from the kitchen, having heard everything. Maya, he said gruffly, lunch is on the house today. No arguments. For the first time since she put on that apron, Maya smiled. Not the polite, guarded smile of someone trying to endure, but a real one. A smile of someone seen, understood, respected. As the day rolled on, whispers spread through town. The video some diner patron had sneakily recorded went viral. Veteran defends waitress mocked for her scars, finds out she's a fellow soldier. News stations picked it up. Messages flooded the diner social media. Thank yous, love from fellow service members, strangers offering job opportunities, support, and admiration. But Maya didn't need the internet's validation. She stood taller now, not because her scars disappeared, but because they no longer felt like marks of pain. They were marks of survival, of battles fought and won, of a warrior who walked quietly but carried storms within. And as for Walter, he came by every week after that, not because he felt sorry for her, not out of pity, but because once a ranger, always a ranger. And family, especially the kind built through fire, sticks together.